Hey guys, welcome to a moment of sanity. I want to make a reflection about life meaning with something that happened in my life recently. You know, how our life meanings can be closer than we think, you know, and how life meaning is something that you discover. This is more a reflection. But in order to make this reflection and put you guys in context about my worldview, I would need to do like a circle. It's the third time that I'm making this video, so I'm quite tired. Let's see how this time goes. Okay? So first of all, life has meaning. Life is not meaningless. And the meaning of life is not subjective. It's not that I impose a life meaning in reality. Actually, it's the opposite. I discover my life meaning. Like anything in life. The act of learning is discovering things. You get what I mean? So we don't impose things in reality. Because reality has a structure by itself. Like our common experience is that reality has order. If you don't believe that we live in order, that reality has an order, you don't believe in science. Because in order for you to be scientific about anything, you need to assume first that reality has a pattern. And a pattern implies that reality has an order. And because reality has an order, not just the external world has an order, I myself have an order too. Otherwise we wouldn't have doctors. When a doctor discovers something in science, he's assuming that our bodies, our psyche, anything inside us, our soul has an order. Has an order. So we have an external order of the world and we have an inner order. So it's reasonable for me to think that things has meaning. It's reasonable for me. It's reasonable for me to think that reality has a structure and I have a structure. And the more that I act to fulfill my nature, to fulfill the human nature that I have, and my uniqueness, because humans also have a unique part that they have, the more happy I will be. And the world of morals, what is right and wrong and etc. is all about that. It's first about the general, what is in common that we have about all human race, and that's important to understand. So like drinking a cup of poison kills every single human, you get what I mean? Mostly, you get what I mean? There is an amount of poison, doesn't matter who you are, you would die, you get what I mean? And knowing what are these cups of poison that will kill all human race, and acting accordingly to what is in general to all human race is really important. It's like delimiting the square, of what, okay, outside of this square, it will harm me. But even though inside of this square, and this is when things become more complicated, and is where all the human drama comes to, even though you have a religion, even though you are Muslim, you have the general rules of morals, and you should work with it, And mostly is where the atheist gets pissed, because people that have religion, sometimes they just follow the general rules and they don't think about their individuality, Inside of this square that I was talking about, there is this small circle that is you. There is something that is unique, that is just about you. If you see the square, the circle doesn't go inside the square. It doesn't go outside the square. You get what I mean? It is inside. So doing your individuality at the same time is inside reality. It's inside of our human nature. And the all debate is what is our human nature. So being the circle means being inside of this big square, but being myself, being different at the same time of someone else, of my brother, of my girlfriend, of my friends, This is what it means. And that's the meaning of my life, Seeing what is in the individual of me and trying to help the other. You get what I mean? It is incredible how maybe if not 100% of the problems, but 80% of the problems will be solved just if we care more about the other. If we use our talents not just for ourselves, but to the other. And I mean, I could explain that more, but the video will be so huge, but part of human nature is to care about the other, and we feel fulfilled when we care about the other. And this is not just a Christian view. This is not just a Christian view. There are many, many, many psychologists that were atheists, that were from other religion, that came to the same conclusion. And actually, one of the biggest thinkers, they came to the same conclusion too, like Confucius, Aristotle, Plato, Socrates. All these guys, they had a goal to dedicate their life about something that is outside of themselves, outside, not for themselves itself. They saw that when they dedicate their lives to themselves, to other people, when they dedicate their lives to other people, is when they feel fulfilled. And when they dedicate just to themselves, just to selfishness, and just to look like, just to protect the ego, is when you destroy the ego. Is when the ego becomes fragile. Is when the self becomes fragile. Okay? So there is this deep thing in human nature about caring about the others. But at the same time, even though we have the big square, and we have this small circle inside that is me, and have these small circles that is the other, and etc. Human beings are the only beings that can choose, even though I know what is right, even though I know what is good for me, I can choose to go against it. And I'm not talking about falling, sometimes falling against what you think that is right. I'm not talking about that. Because we are humans, and committing mistakes is part of the process of being ourselves. And what is a mistake? A mistake is a betrayal of the true self. You know what I mean? This is a mistake. And we all commit mistakes. We all commit things in the journey that we look back and like, man, I really messed it up. But I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about even though a human being is conscious about who he is, about what is right and wrong, he can choose the part of him that goes against it. The part of him that should die in order to the true self to arrive, he can choose that in order, to be selfish, to, come to the conclusion to destroy people and etc. And there are many movies about this. There are a lot of stuff that is about that. I like that animation of Batman, the Mortal Joke, that is Batman against the Joker. And if I didn't say the name right, please leave it in the comments below. I really love that animation, because the Joker, what he's saying there, he wants to prove his life philosophy. He wants to prove his point. So when the Joker and Batman are fighting on that animation, it is the confrontation about two life philosophies. And the conclusion that the Joker has, and he embraced his dark side, and he wants to prove to people that, the only difference between me and you is that I had a bad day. He made a choice to choose the darkness, and what Batman is wanting to make him see is that, man, I know that you have a tough day. I know that you were confronted by evil. I know that you were broken by evil. But here I am to offer you a second chance. Not a second chance to be a stoic and ignore everything that happened, but I'm here to try to help you. And if the Joker didn't had any choice until the moment, that's the moment that Batman creates the choice for the Joker. But the Joker says it's too late. He chooses to stay there. So human beings has this interesting capacity to choose to go outside of their nature, to choose the darkness. Of course, most human beings don't make a choice. Like I said in the other video, most human beings are warm. Most human beings they don't go outside themselves. They just want to have a good life and die, and that's it. They're not even good. They're not even bad. they're just nice people. You know what I mean? They're just nice. And that's the thing. You know, that's the thing. And when it comes to life meaning, the first thing that I want to talk about, in order to put we in context here of what happened with me in church last week, is that the first thing is making this decision. And that's why in my videos I always talk about coherence and how it's important you making the choice of your life to take it seriously, you know. And in my case, to take seriously, to be really a good person, to choose to seek truth, you know, to really try to seek what is truth. You know, doesn't matter what is your religion and etc. Of course, as a Catholic, I believe that everyone that seeks truth ends up becoming Catholic, you know, and you don't need to anyone force you. You know, it's just like you keep seeking what is truth. You keep seeking what reality has to tell you instead of trying to impose your ideas. The more you open to reality, the more you realize, in my opinion, that Catholicism is the most reasonable religion. But of course, you can disagree with me, right? You can disagree with me, okay? But making this decision of, making this decision of taking life serious is really important in order to find your life meaning, you know. And if you didn't do that, if you're just warm, you never understand what I want to say in the next part, you know. So after you took this decision and you're trying to seek, like, to live accordingly to your nature, to live accordingly to your design and etc., it will come a complex problem, you know. And this question is really valid. Like, what is the meaning of my life? How should I seek it? You know. So Daniel, I read Aristotle, I read Saint Augustine, I read Confucius. I don't know how to say famous Hindu thinkers. I read Mohammed. I read Islam philosophers. I know the nature in general. I know the square. Or maybe I'm just atheist. You know, I'm a serious atheist, Daniel. I read Nietzsche. I read, you know, Immanuel Kant. I read Thomas Hobbes, you know. And I know in general what is human nature already. I just want to know what I mean to be in here, what I should do. And the good news is that your life meaning is closer to you than you think. Your life meaning is closer to you than you think. When Viktor Frankl, in his book, A Man Searching for Meaning, is one of the famous books, it's a bestseller until nowadays, I believe. You know, it's a really small book. I don't have it here now, but he says that working with abstraction is a waste of time when you are seeking your life meaning, because our life meaning is so close to us, you know. And in my opinion, life meaning is an equation of our individuality here plus our circumstance, you know. But what kind of circumstance? Because things happen in our lives all the time. So like I was saying, it's part of human nature to love the other. You know? It's part of human nature to love the other. And maybe making this statement makes a lot of questions in your mind, but I will not have the time to talk about evil and how evil works and etc., you know? But these are the two factors: individuality and our circumstances. And individuality is really important. After knowing what is human nature, we need to ask about ourselves, who am I? Who is Daniel? And what Daniel has different from his brother? What Daniel has different from his girlfriend, from his mom, from his dad? You know, I have a unique DNA code. Not just the DNA code. I have a unique body. Not just that, I have a unique personality that I work on every day. I have a unique belief system. I have unique qualities. So you are seeing that in order for you to discover your individuality, you will need to do a work of deep knowledge. You will need to start to get interested in knowing yourself and trying to know, who am I? Trying to see what are the existential questions that have been in your life all the time. You don't get me wrong, you don't need to be intellectual. Your life meaning doesn't need to be working with ideas. But you do have existential questions that are pain in the neck since you were a child. You have existential questions, you have problems that they are unique for you. I will give an example, man. For me, the question of the relationship with God was always a problem since I was a kid. This is one. The second one was, how should I interpret reality? What should be my attitude towards reality? What should be my attitude towards the unknown? These were all existential questions that I needed to take it seriously. And sometimes, from time to time, they confront each other. You get what I mean? From time to time, I question the existence of God. Like, God, does you exist? And if you exist, does you care? So why do I suffer? What should be my attitude towards my suffer? You get what I mean? So you see that the work of deep knowledge is really, really important. And the second part of the equation is our circumstances. Our circumstances are really, really important because our life meaning, it's closer than we think, and that's Viktor Emil Frankl's point in his book. It's not about the future. It's not about going to another country. It's not about saving the world. It's not about changing this society in a macro way. No, it's changing it in a micro way. After you know your individuality and know what you're good on, is dedicating that to your circumstances. And in this sense, like I always to say, the famous quote of Ortega and Gasset is this writer, this philosopher and Spanish writer. He say, I am me and my circumstances. If I don't save my circumstances, I don't save myself. What he means about that, there's no individual, there is no I that is not in relation with something. There is no I, there is no self that is not in relation with the other. And that's why, after discovering what I'm good on, it's really important to discover what are my circumstances and how I can contribute to them and embracing them. And I committed the mistake in the last 3 months, and then that's when I situate you about the real problem, about putting myself in a pedestal, putting myself like I will solve the world problem, judging too much about myself, like thinking that I will leave Macau, thinking that I will leave this place and I will save the world to someone else, and they will recognize me and they will see how I bright and all this stuff. But actually, the people that were needing me, the people that would recognize my work, the people that are crying, begging for help, they are here. And that's what God, in my opinion, made me realize. I went to a point of totally darkness. I went to a point of totally anguish. And sometimes in life, you find yourself in this part, in desolation. And it's really interesting because even the atheist authors, they talk about this, right? Like that when you're in desolation, you start to talk with yourself. They say yourself, but you start to talk, in my opinion, with God. So I was in this time and I asked God, and if you're an atheist, just take like the universe, destiny, the structure of the world, the energy, whatever you believe. And this is really important, to have intentionality when you talk with God. I just looked to this feeling and said, It looks like I'm talking here, I'm making all this stuff, and you just don't care. But on the moment in the church that I was giving catechism, I was seeing that youth, and on that moment I realized that's why it's so important to not impose in reality your ideas, but let reality communicate to you. I saw those youth needing help. I saw on them my struggles. I saw what I suffer when I had their age. And I was like, man, the people that are needing me are here. They are not in an abstract, in a hypothetical road that I could be living in. And that's the old problem of human race. We don't accept reality as it is, and as a consequence, so many times we feel lost. We feel that life doesn't have meaning. We feel that it is just a piece of darkness. I hope that I am not abstract, and this video is becoming long already, But if you are someone seeking your life meaning, my brother, your life meaning is closer than you think. It is around you, and its life meaning is this equation. After you solve the big square, the life meaning is the small circle inside the square. And how you solve the equation in the small circle. It is my individuality, so you need to do a work of deep self-knowledge, of knowing what is really good in you. What is good in you. And after, in order to go against what is bad in you, of course, And after, seeing in your circumstances what you can help people. In some people's case, in Viktor Frankl's case, it was to help people to have life meaning. In my case, I'm still finding it. I think that I found a good part of it. In my case, I think that is working with concepts, working with idea, inspiring people. In your case can be something different. In your case could be helping people that are that are hungry. In your case could be, make a country better again. In your case could be something else. Maybe you're more an action person than that's why the deep knowledge thing is, like the self-knowledge thing is really important. And then you see how you can use that not to change the world in abstract, not to change what is far from you, because this is an excuse, but to change the people that are around you, the people that need you, that really needs you, really needs you. Because sometimes people need you, but they don't want to be helped. I'm not talking about this kind of people. I'm talking about the people that they want to be helped, that their soul is screaming for help, and you can help. But because you're making abstract, you commit the mistake that I have been making all these months. You just don't help them because you're too busy. I was too busy thinking about the abstract version of Daniel to help the other. No. Your life meaning is on the now. Your life meaning is in your home. Your life meaning is in your neighborhood. Try to find there first. And like I always say, in times of darkness, pray. Intentionally pray. See you guys. Hope that you liked this video. It was a little bit more abstract, but from the abstract, I go a little bit to the concrete. Okay, I hope that these concepts helped you, and leave any question in the comments. Like the video, help me to share, because you help me to continue motivated for making videos. See you guys in the next time.